I spoke the other day about the quotations that I often use from Savitri prior to each Om that we sing, in order to lift the collective consciousness to the highest and most receptive level. So today I would like to begin with the Mantras of Savagery. Over a period of more than 8 years, I have been collecting, reading through Savitri and copying out mantras on music, sound, harmony. Savitri is filled with the beauty of these mantras. So I begin. Music brought down celestial yearnings. Song held the merged heart, absorbed in rapturous depths, linking the human with the cosmic cry. I'm not giving book and canto because I would rather you feel within the vibration of the mantra, the power and the force that it brings in. And I feel giving book, canto, and page would disturb this a little. So I'm just going to give you the different mantras that you can quote in your Om choirs, be it in Colombia, South America, or California, or wherever. O rubies of silence, lips from which there stole low laughter, music of tranquility. In a luxurious ecstasy of joy, she squandered the love music of her notes, wasting the passionate pattern of her blooms and festival riot of her scents and hues. Such a one speaks to Savitri. Close is my father's creepered hermitage, screened by the tall ranks of these silent kings, sung to by voices of the hue-robed choirs, whose chants repeat, transcribed in music's notes, the passionate colored lettering of the boughs, and fill the hours with their melodious cry. I caught the echoes of a word supreme, and metered the rhythm beats of infinity, and listened through music for the eternal voice. His speech, like glimmering music, veiled his thoughts. He comes unseen into our darker parts, and, curtained by the darkness, does his work. A subtle and all-knowing guest and guide, till they too feel the need and will to change. All here must learn to obey a higher law. Our body's cells must hold the immortal's flame. the absolute, the perfect, the immune, one who is in us as our secret self, our mask of imperfection has assumed. He has made this tenement of flesh his own, his image in the human measure cast, that to his divine measure we might rise. Then, in a figure of divinity, the Maker shall recast us and impose a plan of Godhead on the mortal's mold, lifting our finite minds to the infinite, touching the moment with eternity. This transfiguration is earth's due to heaven. A mutual debt binds man to the Supreme. His nature we must put on as he put ours. We are sons of God and must be even as he. His human portion we must grow divine. Our life is a paradox, with God for key. On the dumb bosom of this oblivious globe, although as unknown beings we seem to meet, our lives are not aliens, nor as strangers join, moved to each other by a causeless force. The soul can recognize its answering soul across dividing time, and on life's roads, absorbed, rapt traveler, turning it recovers familiar splendors in an unknown face. And touched by the warning finger of swift love, it thrills again to an immortal joy, wearing immortal body for delight. There is a power within that knows beyond our knowings. We are greater than our thoughts, and sometimes earth unveils that vision here. To live, to love, are signs of infinite things. Love is a glory from eternity's spheres, a thrill that smites the nerves is music's spell. A fateful hand has touched the cosmic chords, and the intrusion of a troubled strain covers the inner music's hidden key that guides unheard the surface cadences. Yet is it joy to live and to create, and joy to seek, and joy to love and labor, though all fails, and joy to seek, though all we find deceives, and all on which we lean betrays our trust. Yet something in its depths was worth the pain. A passionate memory haunts with ecstasy's fire. Even grief has joy hidden beneath its roots. For nothing is truly vain the one has made. In our defeated hearts, God's strength survives, and victory's star still lights our desperate road. Our death is made a passage to new worlds. This to life's music gives its anthem swell. To all she lends the glory of her voice. A sumptuous interlude occupies the ear, and the heart listens, and the soul consents. An evanescent music it repeats, wasting on transience time's eternity. A tremolo of the voices of the hours. Oblivious screens the high intended theme. The self-embodying spirit came to play on the vast clavichord of nature force. Only a mighty murmur here and there of the eternal word, the blissful voice, or beauty's touch, transfiguring heart and sense. A wandering splendor and a mystic cry recalls the strength and sweetness heard no more. Across the vibrant secrecies of space, a dim and happy music sweetly stole. Smitten by unseen hands, he heard, heart close, the harp's cry of the heavenly minstrels pass, and voices of unearthly melody chanted the glory of eternal love in the white-blue moonbeam air of paradise. This is one line from the Katha Upanishad. This is he that is awake in those who sleep. At the end of Savitri, Sri Aurobindo quotes a passage, just a few lines, from the Isha Upanishad. The one, unmoving, is swifter than thought. The gods cannot overtake it, for it travels ever in front. It moves, and it moves not. It is far away from us, and it is very close. This is our deepest need, to join once more what now is parted, opposite and twain. Remote in sovereign spheres that never meet, or fronting like far poles of night and day. We must fill the immense lacuna we have made, re-wed the closed finite's lonely consonant with the open vowels of infinity. A hyphen must connect matter and mind, the narrow isthmus of the ascending soul. We must renew the secret bond in things. Our hearts recall the lost divine idea. Reconstitute the perfect word. Unite the Alpha and the Omega in one sound. Then shall the spirit and nature be at one. All here, where each thing seems its lonely self, are figures of the soul transcendent one. Only by him they are. His breath is their life. An unseen presence molds the oblivious clay. Our emotions are but high and dying notes of his wild music, changed compellingly by the passionate movements of a seeking heart. In the inconstant links of hour with hour, to call down heaven's distant answering song, to cry to an unseized bliss is all we dare. Once seized, we lose the heavenly music sense. Too near, the rhythmic cry has fled or failed. All sweetnesses are baffling symbols here. Here, living center of that vision of peace, a woman sat in clear and crystal light. Heaven had unveiled its luster in her eyes. Her feet were moonbeams. Her face was a bright sun. Her smile could persuade a dead, lacerated heart to live again and feel the hands of calm. A low music heard became her floating voice. As into a heaven of strength and silence, thought is ravished. All this living mortal clay is seized, and in the swift and fiery flood of touches shaped by a harmonist unseen, a new sight comes. New voices in us form a body of the music of the gods. There was a strange consistency of shapes, and the same thoughts were constant passers-by, and all renewed unendingly its charm, alluring ever the expectant heart, like music that one always waits to hear, like the recurrence of a haunting rhyme. Oft inspiration with her lightning feet, a sudden messenger from the all-seeing tops, traversed the soundless corridors of his mind, bringing her rhythmic sense of hidden things. A music spoke, transcending mortal speech, as if from a golden phial of the all-bliss, a joy of light, a joy of sudden sight, a rapture of the thrilled, undying word poured into his heart as into an empty cup. A repetition of God's first delight, creating in a young and virgin time. The music born in matter's silences, plucked nude out of the ineffable's fathomlessness, the meaning it had held but could not voice, the perfect rhythm now only sometimes dreamed, an answer brought to the torn earth's hungry need, rending the night that had concealed the unknown. In that lucent ambience, mystically clear, the eyes were doors to a celestial sense. Hearing was music, and the touch a charm. And the heart drew a deeper breath of power. A flaming rhapsody of white desire lured an immortal music into the heart and woke the slumbering ear of ecstasy. The world's senseless beauty mirrors God's delight. That rapture's smile is secret everywhere. It flows in the wind's breath, in the tree's sap. Its hued magnificence blooms in leaves and flowers. When life broke through its half-drowse in the plant, that feels and suffers, but cannot move or cry, in beast and in winged bird and thinking man, It made of the heart's rhythm its music's beat. All there discovered what it seeks for here. It freed the finite into boundlessness and rose into its own eternities. The inconscient found its heart of consciousness. The idea and feeling, groping in ignorance, at last clutched passionately the body of truth. The music, born in matter's silences, plucked nude out of the ineffable's fathomlessness the meaning it had held but could not voice. The perfect rhythm, now only sometimes dreamed, an answer brought to the torn earth's hungry need, rending the night that had concealed the unknown, giving to her her lost, forgotten soul. The persistent thrill of a transfiguring touch persuaded the inert black quietude, and beauty and wonder disturbed the fields of God. A wandering hand of pale enchanted light that glowed along a fading moment's brink, fixed with gold panel and opalescent hinge, a gate of dreams, ajar on mystery's verge. I'm going to read that again. The persistent thrill of a transfiguring touch persuaded the inert black quietude, and beauty and wonder disturbed the fields of God. A wandering hand of pale enchanted light that glowed along a fading moment's brink, fixed with gold panel and opalescent hinge, a gate of dreams, ajar on mystery's verge. One lucent corner, windowing hidden things, forced the world's blind immensity to sight. An instant's visitor, the Godhead shone. On life's thin border a while the vision stood, and bent over earth's pondering forehead curve, interpreting a recondite beauty and bliss, in color's hieroglyphs of mystic sense. It wrote the lines of a significant myth, telling of a greatness of spiritual dawns, a brilliant code penned with the sky for page. Almost that day, the Epiphany was disclosed, of which our thoughts and hopes are signal flares. Immortal rhythms swayed in her time-born steps. Her look, her smile awoke celestial sense, even in earth stuff, and their intense delight poured a supernal beauty on men's lives. On the frail breast of this precarious earth, since her orbed sight in its breath-fastened house, opening in sympathy with happier stars, where life is not exposed to sorrowful change, remembered beauty death-claimed lids ignore, and wondered at this world of fragile forms, carried on canvas strips of shimmering time. The impunity of unborn mites was hers. Hope chanced to hope, a bright, immortal choir. He heard the inspired sound of his own thoughts, re-echoed in the vault of other minds. From the Mother's Prayers and Meditations. O Lord, Lord, a boundless joy fills my heart. Songs of gladness surge through my head in marvelous waves, and in the full confidence of thy certain triumph, I find a sovereign peace and an invincible power. Thou fillest my being, thou animatest it, thou settest in motion its hidden springs, thou illuminest its understanding, thou intensifiest its life, thou increasest tenfold its love. And I no longer know whether the universe is I, or I the universe, whether thou art in me or I in thee. Thou alone art, and all is thou, and the streams of thy infinite grace fill and overflow the world. Sing, O lands, sing, O peoples, sing, O men. The divine harmony is there. And this is apropos of previous talk about not having preconceived ideas about what music will come down. This is in Mother's Questions and Answers. Before sitting down, I don't even know what notes I am going to play. But I do not know at all. I do not at all know what will come. Nothing at all, nothing. I don't even decide what feeling or idea of state of consciousness is going to be expressed. Nothing. I am like a blank page. I come and sit down, concentrate for a minute, and let it come. And lastly, oh, let light be poured on all the earth, and peace inhabit every heart. Here are some vocal techniques and exercises. They will be demonstrated by some of the singers in our Om choirs. But I wanted to give you perhaps a little bit more on the various aspects of training the voice. The first is breathing. There are many theories on how to breathe. The one I suggest is to watch a sleeping child. There will be no stress or strain in the upper body. Breathing will be relaxed, with the breath taken through the nose. You will note that the diaphragm expands with the breath, and the lower three ribs are pushed out by the lungs. In this manner, the lungs are filled to capacity. If one is under stress, say from running, and one breathes this way, only half the lungs are filled. The bottom portion doesn't get filled. That has to be with a quick sniff, the expansion of the diaphragm, and the lower three ribs. The shoulders should not rise, and the chest should not lift up. And a quick, even silent, sniff through the nose will fill the lungs completely. It is good to watch trained singers, especially opera singers, as you will never see any stress in the upper body when producing a note, even the highest notes. In fact, in an opera, the heroine may fall to the ground from being stabbed, etc., and there will be no change in the quality of the tone. And often it will be on a very high note. If your chest and shoulders tend to rise, you can use a technique my voice teacher taught me, and that is to imagine that you are holding a heavy bucket of water in each hand and cannot possibly lift the shoulders or the chest. Next, humming. It is best to begin all exercises by humming. In this way you will not strain the vocal cords, and you will warm them up, making them flexible and pliable. As you begin humming, focus in the mask of the face and put an H in front of the M. Moving the air across your lips, you should feel them vibrating slightly. When you have developed resonance, you may also feel a tingling in the ears. Next section is the diaphragm. The diaphragm is the support system for the air in the lungs that enables us to sing. In fact, it even enables us to speak, or at least helps greatly in projecting the voice. For example, if I say ha from my throat, it's very different from saying ha, 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 using the diaphragm. Proper use of the diaphragm requires much training, and this will be demonstrated in the exercise section. The diaphragm controls the amount of air you use to produce a note or a series of notes. It is especially important in the upper ranges of the voice, as this is where the support tends to weaken. Again, my voice teacher would tell me that at the end of an exercise, the diaphragm should touch the spine. As our exercises will demonstrate, complete control of the diaphragm will allow perfect control of the singing voice. Our focus in the Om choir. And I've entitled this Training the Body. Our focus in the Om choir is much more than learning to sing. It is a training of the body consciousness to become as receptive an instrument as possible to receive the new music and to allow it to descend in and through us. Therefore, we must pay attention to all the parts that are involved in producing a tone. The mouth. The mouth should be as open as possible to allow the maximum sound to come through. Singing with the mouth half closed restricts the sound. If you open the mouth fully, you will notice that twice the sound is produced with no more effort. Of course, when we sing lyrics, the mouth has its importance in forming words. And in the Om choir exercises, we will demonstrate how to properly form vowels and especially how to produce the most beautiful Om possible as our offering. The jaw. The jaw has a mind of its own and will surprise you with its movements. It too must be trained to be motionless in certain exercises, when it usually will move up and down of its own volition. There are 2 exercises to train the jaw, and both are highly effective. I combine here the jaw and the mouth, because we tend to speak like this and we don't really project. We don't develop the resonance that is possible with the use of the diaphragm. So, to open the mouth, we have a 3-finger exercise, which is this. And I guarantee that you'll keep it open because you won't bite your fingers off. Or this. If you practice that, even if it's a bit difficult, you will find sound just emanating from you with beauty and force and power. The power will amaze you, as it has done very often to those who come to the Om choir. The tongue. When singing vowel sounds, the tip of the tongue should rest lightly against the back of the lower teeth. The tongue, too, needs to be trained, because if it curls in the mouth, it blocks at least half the sound. But if it rests lightly, the tip against the lower teeth, it's out of the way. Now, this is a section called the various tones. As we move in range from the lowest notes to the highest, the sound is centered in different areas. Simply put, the lowest tones are chest tones. Om, Om, Om. We can feel the resonance in the chest. And not in good voice today, but you can hear the resonance in the chest. The middle tones of any type of voice are a combination of chest and head tones. And the highest notes that we sing are primarily head tones created in the head. You can easily hear the differences in a bass voice, baritone voice, and high tenor voice, as well as in the various ranges of the female voice. Many singers have a range of 2 to 3 octaves. But for the Om choir, this is of no great importance. Producing a tone is the last section today. After warming up by humming, there are numerous exercises we will demonstrate to achieve flexibility and increase the range of the voice without forcing. In fact, we often have a much greater range than we think, and therefore, when producing a high note, one should imagine coming down on the note from above, instead of reaching up for it and straining. So in the next section, we'll demonstrate the different exercises with using different voices, female and male voices.